Venerable Mahasangha, I welcome you, sirs, mit größtem Respekt heiße ich die ehrwürdige Mahasangha Buddhistische Konferenz. I also welcome, ich begrüße auch Excellency Mr. Rajkaji Khadka, Excellency Mr. His Excellency Dr. Krishan Mara and Mrs. Krishan, Her Excellency Sarenchi Kaunda Goja, Mr. Vipawan Beniman, Minister at the Embassy of Thailand, Dr. Chaya Kohn, Council of the Embassy, Ms. Varuni Muthukumarana, Embassy. Request the manager of the Buddhistische Haus, Mr. Tisat Veeraratna, to light the oil lamp. We are celebrating the 100th anniversary of das Buddhistische Haus, founded in 1924. And we do so, we share the same pride in the achievements of founders and architects of this project. Dr. Paul Dahlke, honoring the memory of these extraordinary personalities, being an absolute pioneer Buddhist in Germany, of probably the first Buddhist institution, tremendous contributions to disseminate the wisdom of Buddha in the Western world, priorities of today's. Wir sind heute zusammengekommen am 100. Jahrestag auf die Leistungen der Gründer und der Architekten, Projekte, Dr. Paul Dahlke und Herr Erscheinung zu ehren. Erste ein absoluter des Buddhismus in Deutschland war, was wahrscheinlich des buddhistischen Hauses in Europa. Der zweite hat einen enormen Verbreitung der Weisheit zu begehen, zu besprechen, die Priorität des Hauses. To start the conference today, I now tend to pledge to the 5 precepts. Damit beginnen, indem wir geloben, die 5 Sittlichkeitsregeln einzuhalten. Dann auf der Panzer Costa Salsa Svoboda second lesson.
Good afternoon. The permission I to administer 5 principles or 5 precepts. Culmination of Buddhist spirituality is enlightenment. If one embark upon this spiritual path in Buddhism, it is start with observing principles. There are 5 principles which are not only in Buddhism but also in all human beings based on these 5 principles. Therefore, with great respect to these 5 principles, I would like to administer these 5 principles, abstain from abstain from lying, abstain from intoxicants. Hence, I am very happy. It's a great privilege for me, this great conference, observing, administering 5 precepts. I would like to invite you to stand for 5 minutes, 2 minutes, please. Okay. We start with paying respect to the Buddha. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sammasambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sammasambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sammasambuddhassa. Buddham saranam gacchami, dhammam saranam gacchami, sangham saranam gacchami, dutiyampi buddham saranam gacchami, dutiyampi dhammam saranam gacchami, dutiyampi sangham saranam gacchami, tatiyampi buddham saranam gacchami, tatiyampi dhammam saranam gacchami, tatiyampi sangham saranam gacchami. Panati pata virmani sikhapadan samadhiyami. Adinadana virmani sikhapadan samadhiyami. Kamesu michachara viramani sikkhapadam samadhiyami musavada viramani sikkhapadam samadhiyami suramiraya majjapama dathana viramani sikkhapadam samadhiyami. Thank you. Be seated, please.
May I now, with great respect, request Lale Dhammakusalatero to deliver his speech of welcome. Darf ich nun mit gebotenem Respekt Lale Dhammakusalatero bitten, die heutige Begrüßungsansprache zu halten.
Good evening to all of you, respected Venerable Mahasangha, Dr. Bhikkhuni Elizabeth Sujata, Your Excellencies, Professor Martin Baumann, dear devotees and friends in the Dhamma, welcome to the conference held to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Das Buddhistische Haus. As the chief monk of the Das Buddhistische Haus, I extend my welcome to Venerable Bogoda Silamatero, head monk of the London Buddhist Vihara, Venerable Buddhavati Saranakaratero, Sentur Buddhist Vihara, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, Dr. Venerable Vijayarajapura Silavansa Nayakatero, Nankonika Buddhist Center, Austria, Vienna, Venerable Mahagama Vipulasiri Buddhist Center, Milan, Italy, Venerable Padgastota Bharatana Nayakatero International Buddhist Center, USA, Venerable Marathakoda Bharatana Nayakatero, Copenhagen Buddhist Vihara, Denmark, Venerable Moravaka Soratero, Lankaramaya Temple, Cyprus, Dr. Venerable Tavalama Dhammikatero, Geneva Intensive Buddhist Center, Switzerland, Venerable Dedurpiti Tero, London Buddhist Vihara, England, Venerable Sri Nayakatero, Firenze Buddhist Vihara, Italy, Venerable Udayine Sirathan Nayakatero, Intensive Buddhist Center, Australia, Venerable Idimuni Moyang Sang, the President of Cambodian Buddhist USA, Venerable Brescia Buddhist Vihara, Italy, Venerable Vidyapiti Imalaratana Nayakatero, Vihara, Dr. Venerable Panangala Vajiranyana Thero, Vihara, Italy, Venerable Mulane Gunananda Thero, Mahavihara, France, Venerable Mapalakam Jinanand Thero, Nice Buddhist Vihara, France, Venerable Talaga Sumangal Thero, Paris Samadhi Buddhist Vihara, Venerable Agga the Secretary of Venerable Madre Dhammakanda Thero, Stockholm Thero from England, Venerable Udagama Nayakatero Culture Center, Sweden, Venerable Gauravela Gunarathan Thero, Venerable Vita Alvitikala Sujata Thero from Switzerland, Venerable Kamburupiti Anana Thero, Buddha Dharma Mandal Society, Singapore, Venerable Prabhana Tisarukal from Thailand, Venerable Miluangara Jnana Thero from Berlin, Germany, Venerable Buddhavai Somananda Thero, Maharapisi Thero, Munich, Venerable Vabhade Sunitero from Italy, Venerable Manapiti Vajra Buddhi Thero, Venerable Atavanapa Chayos from Thailand, Venerable Acharya Lama Dava Buddhistische Centrum, Hamburg, Germany, Venerable Christian, Venerable Dr. Bhikkhuni Elizabeth, International Buddhist Institute. Also, I would like to warmly welcome Your Excellencies, Ram, Ambassador of India, His Excellency Dr. Nada Watana Krishnamara, Ambassador of Thailand and spouse, Her Excellency Salik Konsat, Ambassador of Pakistan, His Excellency Khaira Chia, Mr. O.Y. Win, Deputy Chief of Mission of Myanmar, Mrs. Ipavarma Beniman, Deputy Chief of Mission, Minister Embassy of Thailand, Dr. Yat Ong Sam, Minister Council and Thailand, Mr. Panota, Council Embassy of Thailand, Her Excellency Mrs. Varuni Muthukumarana, Sri Lanka Ambassador. Our keynote speaker today, Mr. Mr. Sandianwala, Council of the Sri Lanka Embassy, Mrs. Anusa Viratunga, President of Sri Lanka Association, Mr. Lankananda Pereira, the one who is doing today, Mr. Viratna, manager of the DBH, all the devotees of the DBH, that's Buddhistische Haus, and all the Dharma friends who are joining with us today. The mission of the Berlin Mahaviharya is to continue to spread the teaching of the Buddha in Europe with peace and the well-being of humanity and all other living beings. We meet this prestigious conference today to commemorate the service it has been providing for 100 years now and to ensure continuity, the preservation of the Dhamma, the message, the Buddha, for many more years to come. The conference aims to bring together participants from leading Buddhist institutions worldwide to focus attention on the scope for the spread of Buddhism and the challenges faced in such endeavor, protection and preservation of Buddhism in traditional Buddhist countries. Platform for scholars, participants, and devotees, papers engaging in meaningful discussions, share insights and a sense of humanity, collaboration among the global Buddhist community. We will discuss the key issues and barriers that stand in the way of the propagation of the Dhamma in Buddhism amidst the rapidly changing political and religious landscape. We will also support the Buddhist contribution to world peace and harmony and even give an insight into the history of Das Buddhistische Haus and the service it has rendered in the years. So without taking up any more time, let us begin this conference keeping in mind the Buddha's message was sent forth on Dhamma. Bhikkhus, go out in all the 8 directions for the mundane and supermundane welfare, prosperity and happiness of many beings such as devas, bhikkhus teach the Dhamma is full of virtuous qualities in all its 3 phases, namely the beginning, the middle, and the end, and endowed with the spirit and the letter. May the Tipajam bless you all. Tirvansanam.
Words, honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, are not sufficient to welcome you. Hence, we are also having a traditional Sri Lankan welcome dance. With this dance, the performers, Anjali and Narmada, will welcome you to this event in traditional Sri Lankan style. Worte, sehr verehrter Gäste, meine Damen und Herren, reichen nicht aus, um Sie zu begrüßen. Deshalb gibt es einen traditionellen sri-lankischen Begrüßungstanz. Mit diesem Tanz heißen die Darsteller Anjali und Nara Sie im traditionellen sri-lankischen Stil zu dieser Veranstaltung willkommen. Ladies and gentlemen, venerable monks, Buddha's teachings promote self-control, self-restraint, and tolerance, all characteristics which could be derived from the Noble Eightfold Path. These qualities have a significant importance in the international arena as essential ingredients for good relations with nations. The first lecture of our today's symposium Honorable Chancellor Beschränkung, die aus dem edlen achtfachen diese Qualitäten sind größter Bedeutung, weil sie für gute Beziehungen im Leben zwischen Nationen hilfreich sind. Center.
Thank you, sir. Your Eminences, Reverend Sirs, Your Excellencies and Honorable Members of the Diplomatic Corps based here in Berlin, Mr. Veera, Most Venerable Palani Dhammakusala Mahathir, Abbot of the Buddhistische Haus, distinguished guests, and my dear friends. First of all, I thank Most Palani Dhammakusala Mahathir, the organizing committee, for asking me to come over to share some Buddhist insights into Buddhist contribution to world peace and harmony, which is going to be a short reflection. First, I had decided to share some insights in Buddhism. Later, I was informed to put it into a kind of paper. So it has made the job easy. So, and I pay my tribute to Dr. Polda for their in Germany Haus. Introduced a universal ethical system promoting peace, harmony, and ethical living. With millions of worldwide, the Buddhism of Europe and fostering in this share with the various aspects of Buddhist philosophy and practices that contribute to peace and harmony at individual, community, and international levels, exploring foundational doctrines, ethical to social issues. Creating traditional Buddhist philosophy with modern applications where we can use Buddhism's potential to address contemporary challenges and promote global peace and harmony. I share with you some Buddhist definitions of peace and harmony. In Buddhist philosophy, peace or santi in Pali, sankha in Pali, are fundamental states that reflect inner tranquility and the proper order of relationships within society and nature. Peace is considered not as a conflict, but as a profound personal and communal well-being achieved through the practice of mindfulness, compassion, and wisdom. Harmony in Buddhism extends beyond include the balanced coexistence of all beings achieved through understanding the interconnected connectedness of all life and practicing non-violence, respect for diversity. Interconnection of humans, other beings, and natural processes. This perspective is based on the doctrine and origination, Paticcasamuppada in Pali, posits that all arise in independence on conditions and thus are interlinked. Such understanding fosters respect for all and emphasizes the ecological balance and sustainable living. The Buddha's teachings encourage harmonious relationship with nature, advocating for compassion and mindful interaction with all elements of the environment. The teaching of dependent Paticcasamuppada is central to Buddhist thought, explaining how everything in the universe is interconnected and interdependent. This doctrine teaches that nothing exists in isolation. All phenomena arise due to specific conditions and cease when those conditions change. This interdependence of humans, animals, plants, and the environment, emphasizing the importance of maintaining balance and harmony in our interactions with the world. Buddhist environmental ethics are rooted in the understanding that harming the environment directly impacts all living beings. The Buddha emphasized the moral responsibility of humans and preserve nature, advocating for sustainable practices and compassionate stewardship of earth. This ethical stance is reflected in various Buddhist texts and teachings that highlight the importance of living in harmony with nature and respecting the intrinsic value of all life forms. In contemporary society, Buddhist perspective on the interconnectedness of all life has significant implications for addressing environmental issues and promoting sustainable development. By fostering an awareness of our impact on the environment and encouraging practices that support ecological balance, Buddhism provides a valuable framework for achieving global environmental sustainability and harmony. The steps at the beginning are the fundamental ethical guidelines in Buddhism. Ahimsa, and respect for all living beings. This principle extends beyond human to include animals and plants, modern and non-harmful way of living that supports peace and harmony in society. In Buddhist spiritual practice, ahimsa is part of right thought or samma sankappa. In our daily practice of the Noble Eightfold Path, ahimsa is given a prominent place, since wrong thought or lead to wrong decision making. The remaining sexual misconduct, false speech, and further reinforce ethical conduct that fosters trust, respect, and harmony within communities. By adhering to these precepts, individuals cultivate that contribute to a stable and peaceful society. The five precepts are merely theoretical, but are intended to be applied in everyday life. Buddhists who observe these precepts develop habits of nonviolence, honesty, and sobriety, which helps to reduce conflicts and promote harmonious relationships at both personal and societal levels. In the Brahma-vihara Sutta of the Anguttara Nikaya, the Buddha indicates the efficacy of the Brahma-viharas as a fourfold supply for divine attitude through which we humans can become universal self-healers and healers for others. Loving kindness or metta in Pali, compassion, karuna in Pali, empathic joy, mudita in Pali, and equanimity, upekkha in Pali, are the four Brahmaviharas. As meditation practices, the Brahmaviharas help us cultivate positive emotional states towards all beings. These practices enhance personal and facilitate harmonious relationships, thereby contributing to broader social harmony, regular engagement with support within diverse communities. Loving kindness involves creating feelings of goodwill and unconditional love towards one another. This practice helps negative emotion, anger, and hatred, fostering a sense of connection and empathy with all beings. Loving kindness helps us gradually reduce Vera in Pali and motivate us even to thank our enemies, rival opponents, for showing us that hatred is their problem, not ours. Compassion meditation focuses on recognizing and alleviating the suffering of others. By developing a compassionate mindset, individuals become more sensitive to the needs and experiences of others, promoting acts of kindness and support to contribute to social harmony. Compassion is antidote to selfishness or mamatta in Pali. Empathic joy involves rejoicing in the happiness and success of others. This practice counters feelings of jealousy and envy, encouraging a positive and supportive attitude towards the achievements of others. Moreover, empathic joy is hard to practice. Uh, Helps us reduce jealousy, Issa in Pali. Twinning with the Schadenfreude, I use a German word as the best word. In order to explain this term, there's no proper term in English language. So scholars use the German word Schadenfreude, which is pleasure derived by someone from another person's misfortune. That's more than jealousy. Meditation cultivates a balanced and impartial state of mind, allowing individuals to remain both in the face of life's ups and downs. This practice helps develop resilience and emotional stability, which are essential for maintaining peace and harmony in challenging situations. Furthermore, equanimity helps us build and maintain a warm relationship with the world despite conflicts and chaos, and avoid our natural tendency to maintain a cold distance when we fall out with the world. In other words, equanimity helps us manage tribulation, upayasa in Pali. Mindfulness in Buddhism is intended to foster clear awareness and ethical sensitivity. However, in contemporary settings, it is often co-opted corporate interest, a trend termed mindfulness by credit. This is one of my research areas. How corporations have kept the mindfulness. So stand for McDonald's, I think. That's the symbol of past chains. So this version of mindfulness is used to enhance the and exploitation. Buddhist mindfulness includes an ethical that challenges human well-being. Traditional mindfulness was traditional mindfulness, which is part sati in Pali. In Buddhism, cultivating the present moment, developing nature of reality, in ethical conduct, and is aimed at reducing suffering and promoting corporate appropriation. In the corporate for enhancing productivity and reducing stress among employees. However, this focusing solely on its psychological benefits. Mindfulness profound spiritual practice and uses it to perpetuate, often ignoring broader issues of social justice and environmental sustainability. This misuse undermines the transformative potential of mindfulness and reduces it to a self-technique that serves the interests of corporate integrating foundations. Moral virtue and righteous behavior are the true measures of a person's worth. During the Buddha's time, the caste system was deeply entrenched in Indian society, dictating social status and opportunities based on birth. The Buddha's rejection of this system was radical, challenging the prevailing social order and advocating for a more egalitarian society. Furthermore, the Vasala Sutta emphasizes that one's actions and behavior determine one's nobility, not their birth or social status. Unethical behavior can turn individuals into social outcasts. This teaching promotes the idea that all individuals have the potential to achieve enlightenment and should be judged based on their ethical conduct rather than their caste. The Buddha, caste and class distinctions are detrimental to the oneness of humanity. In contemporary society, the Buddha's teachings on social equality continue to inspire movements for human rights and social justice by caring for the inherent dignity and worth of all individuals. Buddhism provides a powerful framework for addressing issues of inequality. Various contemporary Buddhist movements and organizations actively promote peace and harmony. These include the Peace Pagoda movement, the Engaged Buddhism of Thich Nhat Hanh, and the Global Peace Initiatives of the Dalai Lama. These movements Buddhism's practical application in peace-building efforts and its relevance in addressing contemporary global conflicts. Peace Pagoda movement initiated by the Japanese Buddhist organization Nippon San Myo-jinri involved the construction of peace pagodas around the world as symbols of peace and non-violence. These structures serve as a focus for activities, understanding and cooperation. Engaged Buddhism, which is popular in the West, which is popularized by Thich Nhat Hanh, integrates traditional Buddhist practices with social activism. That is very important. Mindfulness and compassion in addressing social, political, and environmental issues. Create a more just and peaceful world. The Dalai Lama, as a global ambassador of Buddhism, has been a vocal advocate for non-violence, human rights, and interfaith dialogue. His efforts to promote peace and have earned him international recognition and support, highlighting the relevance of Buddhist principles in contemporary global affairs. In conclusion, I would like to say that Buddhism offers a comprehensive framework for understanding and cultivating peace and harmony that transcends cultural and national boundaries. Through its teachings on interconnectedness, ethical living, and meditation, Buddhism provides valuable insights and tools for addressing contemporary global issues. As the world grapples with conflict, inequality, and environmental crisis, the principles and practices of Buddhism offers hopeful pathways towards a more peaceful and harmonious global society. Would you now please take a deep breath, close your eyes, breath, hold on to your breath for 10 seconds and breathe out. Now focus on your breathing. Bring your attention to nostrils. Ignore the sounds or obstacle from your surroundings. Ignore thoughts, memories, and different kind of distractions occurring in your head. Focus on your nostrils. Feel the incoming breath. Feel the outgoing breath. Simply follow. And slowly open your eyes. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. May you be well, happy, and peaceful. Sabbe satta bhavantu sukhichatta.
Thank you, Venerable. Do you have any questions to the topic Buddhism in international politics? Haben Sie irgendwelche Fragen zu dem Thema, die Bedeutung des Buddhismus in internationale Beziehungen? Ja, bitte.
Ja.
Haben wir ein Mikro? Ja.
Ja. Mich würde interessieren, in dem Konflikt jetzt gerade in dem Krieg Ukraine und Russland, wo ja die Stimme des Buddhismus ist, um zu sagen, stoppt es sofort. Das ist Verschwendung von Ressourcen, es ist Kriminalität pur und Verhandeln ist tausendmal wichtiger als jeder Schuss. Das sagte schon Helmut Schmidt. Da die laute Stimme des Buddhismus oder der Buddhisten fehlt mir in gewisser Weise, wie im Vietnamkrieg auch. Dass sie nicht einmischen.
Venerable, he is asking whether any Buddhist institutions or leading Buddhist institutions have raised asking Russia and Ukraine to stop the war immediately.
There are numerous Buddhist organizations in place that raise their voice against the war, of course. Actually, that's the core mission of the Buddha's teachings. However, it depends on the political situations and of individual countries. So, and it also depends on the political affiliation with different camps. Because I would say that when it comes to political affiliation, sometimes for a particular country, probably if the political system is affiliated with a particular country that promotes war, but that doesn't represent that particular country. Of course, there are a lot of organizations in countries, for example, like in Sri Lanka, I know in Thailand, Burma also, they always promote peace. But on the global level, always, a country is a certain nation or country's anti-war or condition is the government stance. So there are new organizations in place. I know, for example, 12, 13 organizations, in particular in Sri Lanka, that is against war, and they have raised their voice against Russia and Ukraine war. But what is lacking is there are no grounds or a platform for those organizations to organize themselves, come on one platform and raise the voice. There are so that most of the time those voices go unnoticed.
verstanden auf Englisch oder brauchen Sie eine Übersetzung?
Einigermaßen. Mich würde interessieren, wie wir den Buddhismus so verbreiten können, dass es eine Stimme weltweit hat, trotz der gekauften Presse und Journalisten.
Ich schlage vor, dass wir das nach allen Vorträgen machen, weil das dann eher eine generelle Frage ist. Und jetzt wollte ich nur fragen zum konkreten Thema. Okay. Any more questions? Okay. What did Paul Dahlke, I think I'm too loud, yeah? What did Paul Dahlke undertake to spread Dhamma? The longest serving wrote the following on behalf of Dr. Dahlke's 30th death anniversary. One of the most important names that deserves to remain alive among the German people is that of Dr. Paul Dahlke because of his contributions to spread Dhamma in Germany. Now, Mr. Tissaveeraratne, current manager of the Buddhistische Haus, a person who Buddhistische Haus since his childhood. For example, he was there in 1957 to bid farewell to the first Buddhist mission in Germany, will now talk on this topic. Was hat Paul Dahlke unternommen, Dhamma zu verbreiten? Ein früherer Abt des Buddhistischen Hauses Berlin, Arturo Gnane Memelatero, schrieb zum 50. Geburtstag von Dr. Paul Dahlke Folgendes. Einer, der verdient, im deutschen Volk lebendig zu bleiben, ist der von Dr. Paul Dahlke wegen seiner Beiträge zur Verbreitung des Dhamma in Deutschland. Nun wird Herr Tissaveeraratne, der und jemand, der dem Buddhistischen Haus war, zu diesem Mal sprechen.
Your Excellency, my Dhamma friends, it is 100-year birthday. This is not a person, but been in the Buddhistische House 25 years. I was in Mitrigala Forest Hermitage for 4 years in meditation. I'm not an academic person, but made my eye open. So I'm going to talk to you about I did not meet. So how can I say what made Paul Dahlke to now the very reason is from 1924 up to now, this 100 years is good evidence how much Paul was convinced in the Dhamma. It is not only Paul Dahlke. Asoka, who was a brutal king, he became a Dhamma king. The Dhamma to wherever he could. Now coming back, after 1940, Berlin being 1951 or 52, my uncle visited Berlin. purchase the temple, which he did so. In 1957, in Sri Lanka, with Mr. Prime Ministers of that time, decided monks to Berlin. From up to today, there are so many monks coming and giving Buddhism. This is what I wanted to talk to you about. Now, the dark building is very big, not as his residence. The building that is made has oriental, but he is darker. From India, now let's go back to Buddha's Satsang. Alara concentration. He mastered Niyama-Sanya perception and that the mind will become one day using the golden many they were convinced Buddha is to get there. I will give you a nice what happened in Sri Lanka. Katukurundiya Jnana Katukurundiya Jnana. So I knew him long time back. He was afterwards all the way this go into Nirvana. There are three, but illness and death. Difficult to carry is not really suffering. So if we difficult to carry is not really suffering. So if we use the word suffering or light, then anicca. So when you realize this, not understand, when you realize this, observing your body and your mind, so Buddha, and he was teaching it for 45 years. Up to about 100 years, it was going properly. And after about 100 years, Buddha, now you have 10 different sorts of Buddhism. But physics and chemistry. So when you talk about all that time, He's he's Buddhistische Haus. This was from 1928. The Indians when we see he also passed away. My uncle visited to purchase this. And there's another thing I heard. This is 100 meters away from the battle tanks can stop. It's just 100 meters. So blessing. Buddhism, sorts of Buddhism. Christian, Buddha's teachings are taken according to me in but in the Abhidhamma to area in Gandhapa, is correct? In top of Afghanistan. So we are trying to learn from scriptures. How did the Buddha learn? He looked into his, and in other religions, mostly 98% of the religions, God as the center. What did the Siddhartha Gautama use? Mindfulness, which is called sati. And in sati you have 4 parts. Kaya kayana pasati virati, vedana pasati virati, chitta chayanta. Way to know your body and your mind. You need the you have to do the meditation with dana sila bhavana. So when I try to talk about Paul, I have only can learn from what other people do because I don't read a lot of. So Dharaka was that the very reason he made this Buddhistische Haus is a fantastic thing. Then my uncle bought it. Then he made Mitrigala. Then he made also German Dharma Society. One of the trustees, Ananda Dharma, is here in this hall at present. And it continued. It has to also continue. So there is another thing called Förderverein. Their whole job is to collect funds and to support this thing. And this is, I'm talking about the infrastructure and its maintenance of the temple. That is not the important thing. Important thing, as somebody asked, how to stop wars. At Buddha's time, somebody came and asked Buddha, if we make a war, can we win the war? If I was Buddha, I said, oh, I don't talk about wars. No. Buddha asked, the people trust the king. Does the king do enough for the favor? He said, yes. He said, you can't win this war. Look at Vietnam. War against America. So when there was a war taking place, I'm telling this for you to digest how simple and how much of wisdom Buddha used. When 2 kings were trying to fight, he went in the middle of the war. 2 kings and asked, what are you fighting for? For water. What is more valuable blood or water. He stopped the war 2-3 times, but later on it went on. So fighting wars is based on greed, and the greed what we have is based on feelings, and the feelings are based on content. This is the Buddha's teaching. Now this teaching got corrupted. One of the things is our Buddhism. In Dhamma, you can't say this is my Dhamma, because it is an observation that you do in the Dhamma, not taking something from a book. So, my idea is, they asked me to say about Dalka. So, about Dalka, that the temple is there, we thank him, but he's gone. But Mitrigala forest hermitage is there, but it is the forest hermitage and the Buddhistische house have to give to the people. What we are doing is giving Buddhism and festivals. The monks should be responsible for this, to give the people who come the Dhamma. And the purpose of the Dhamma is very well written. I think was Dhamma is never to harm anyone. Do good things, get your mind regulated. This is what we should do. Because Buddha, we have the monks, but they come with books and cultural Buddhism. Everybody has a culture, but we have to free from them. Otherwise, conflicts takes place. Somebody asked about Ukraine. So we do meditation. Bhavananupanya means coming to know and the body by observation. So you are your own consultant. So I have to tell this to you, because not you have to be comfortable at this particular moment, and not to be proud you're a Buddhist or something like that. Be humble. If you want to know, if any monk wants to know, or any other person who does not, because if you, as he said, the 5 precepts, take things that belong to other people, no misconduction in sexuality, as any other, putting pressure, no, not lying, and not taking alcohol and drugs. This is enough for you to be comfortably say, I am a good person. And after that, you can go to bhavana. But if you go to meditation, I'm 25 years in the Buddhist house, a lot of people want to come back, meditate. But they are not intensively meditating, they are only meditating for 1 or 4 days. That is not enough. You have to observe your body, and once you know that you are not killing and all, don't ask for more. You must know you are a good person. Once you know you are a good person, why have headaches? This does not belong to Buddhist or a cultural thing. It is a knowing within yourself, I do not kill. I do not take things belong to other people. So, see, when somebody says, tell me what the Dalka told, well, I have him, but many things that the Dalka did is we are benefiting. And also my uncle Asoka Viratna and the German Dhamma Society. And you see, when I was as the person who is doing everything in the Dhamma, the Sri Lanka Association, which is a Berlin group of Sri Lankans, they helped the temple a lot. Like Lanka Peran, there are about 600 people here. Then you have the Ford Farain, which is also Victoria. They had a lot of help. But if you ask, are you content? Not yet. Because I want the monks, not only the Sri Lankan monks, not only the Burmese and the Thai monks, to give the Dhamma. Giving Dhamma will stop conflicts. Message. I thank you.
Okay, anybody have a question to that topic? Okay. There are only few German words which have found their way. Oh, okay, sorry, I didn't see that. Can you get the please? The mic. No, let's to the mic. Yeah. You can have the mic there.
Kunawat Propikul from Thailand. I think it's very.
But please.
Kunawat Propikul.
What?
His name.
Your name. Okay.
Okay. I think it's a very important point about the role of Buddhist monk or Dhammatrutta in European countries. So, for example, in Thai temple, I discussed with many senior monks, and they expect that the Thai monks who come is to take care of Thai community. It means like cultural, like you mentioned, and it's quite difficult to both to Thai people and to Western people. I think the problem in Thai people or Asian people is what you mentioned, that the demand of Asian people. They don't want to practice much, and they want to come to temple just for offering dana. That is the main point, in my opinion. It might be wrong. I'm not the one who stay in Western country, but interested in this point.
Okay.
And for the Western, there is also another difficulties, because Asian monks have a deep aspect to understand the point of view, and the language is also another barriers. So what is your suggestion to make the demand and supply fit each other, to fit and make your suggestion complete?
Okay. This is please a very short answer because we are running short of time. Just a very short answer, please.
You see, culture is not a thing that can be taken away. There is an English word called birds of the feathers flock together. But looking at the Vienna temple, Bhante Silavansa, he has a lot of Germans come. Even in the Berlin temple, a lot of Germans come, as well as Sri Lankans come. So I try with Dhamma Kusala and Kusala Jnana to make it not only Sri Lankan, not only Thai, not only to give the Dhamma as an international thing. Lokottara, in the Buddhist teaching, you have the word Lokottara, the universal, right? So it's the duty of the monks not to make it too much cultural. Thank you.
I don't think you're that satisfied with the short answer, but maybe we have a general question and answer session at the end. Maybe we could touch the topic again if time permits us. Okay. There are only few German words which have found their way into English. Fest is one of these words. Festschrift is something, to say in English, a commemorative publication. Now we are going to present the Festschrift published on behalf of this occasion, on behalf of the 100th anniversary of das Buddhistische Haus, to all invited guests and to Venerable Reverend monks. Keynote speech will be delivered by a professor who has graduated in philosophy with a study on Buddhist and Buddhism. He is therefore predestined to speak on this topic. Paul Dahlke, Looking East and Staying West. The speech will be delivered by Professor Dr. Martin Baumann. Unser heutiger Keynote wird von einem Professor gehalten, der Philosophie studiert hat und Buddhisten und buddhistischen Gemeinden in Deutschland promoviert hat. Damit ist er prädestiniert, um über das Thema zu sprechen. Ich übersetze das Thema nicht, um das nicht zu verändern. Das Thema ist The Pioneer Buddhist Paul Dahlke, Looking East and Staying West. Professor Dr. Martin Kaufmann.
Distinguished ambassadors, sehr geehrte Damen und Herren, it's a pleasure speaking here to you then, and I try to summarize some of it you are now having this thick Festschrift in this commemoration Schrift then, and looking at the pictures, you get some impressions of the ideas and the concepts I'm going to present to you along the giving a sketch of Paul Dahlke and also speaking on Asuka Viraratna. It was very interesting to listen to Tisa Viraratna about his personal experiences and he had been at the spot in 57 as those of the German. So commemorating the 100th anniversary of the building, this is a milestone. This is a milestone in the history of this. And the Buddhist House is the oldest Buddhist institution which we have heard since several times in the Western Europe then. And it is and we have to thank Paul Dahlke as founder of this institution and have to thank Asuka Viraratna as the saver of the institution. Without Asuka Viraratna in 1950s, this Buddhist house would not have been with us these days onwards then. So, in my lecture entitled The Pioneer Buddhist Paul Dahlke, Looking East and Looking West and Staying West, first I would like to summarize Dahlke as a Buddhist, as an early Buddhist in Europe, early Buddhist ideas. In the second part, I want to explain what do I mean by saying looking east and staying west. The basic idea Paul Dahlke was very much influenced by the ideas of the German Romantic. The German Romantic idea of nature, of loneliness. And this is a kind of grammar, of a line of life principle, and his interests about this looked out for other principles taking these, and these had been Buddhist principles. So he is combined, mingled and blended West ideas of romantic ideals and devout Buddhist, only discussing about Buddhist ideas, but was practicing it in meditation and applying it to his daily life. The beginning of the spread of Buddhism is well known in Europe. Then it was in the 1900s, in the late 18th century, translations and a first scripture came about, and the most popular is about Arthur Schopenhauer, the Buddhist. Arthur Schopenhauer said himself, the Buddha and Arthur Schopenhauer, he as a philosopher, had similar ideas then. And so along the philosophy of Arthur Schopenhauer, many intellectuals and many pundits came into contact with Buddhism, about Buddhism. In this state of becoming more treatises, more translations, and first people writing about Buddhism, and the revival of Buddhism in Sri Lanka and South Asia, in this time Paul Dahlke grew up. As we all know, born in 1865, he was one of 5 children of a state minister then. His father was at different parts, and he was a Prussian Protestant person. Paul Dahlke studied medicine in Berlin at Berlin University, and very early on became a doctor. He became a doctor with 25 years, and he himself said becoming a doctor in such an early age was a burden for him, but also a kind of luck for him, because he got interested in homeopathic medicine, in the 1900s, early 1900s, late 1900s, 1890s, and he became famous for his cure and for bringing over his way of life and for treating people for low money and making no distinction. So sometime a soldier, high-ranked soldier, came to him and he was not taken right into the front of the row. He had to wait for a long time until all the other patients had been treated also like himself. Dahlke did not directly encounter Buddhism. He came into contact with Buddhism via the treatise of Schopenhauer, but he did not take up Buddhism. His ideals were the South Sea. The South Sea, 98, traveled a one-year journey to the South Sea, to Samoa Island. On the Samoa Island, so far back in the Pacific, then he thought that is the fulfillment of his life. There in Oahu, in Tahiti, he saw the young men, the young ladies, without any doubts, without any worries, and he thought that is the way he wanted to live. But he traveled back to Germany, practiced onwards, and 2 years later, in 1900, again, he took on a long-distance journey, this time to Sri Lanka, to Ceylon. It was his intention to travel to Ceylon to study Buddhism from the with distinguished teachers. So he says himself then, quote, Buddhism visibly rolled and taken roots like a grain. The word of the Buddha must have quietly, in silence, worked with me. Staying and going to Colombo and to the south of Ceylon, Dahlke found very skilled teachers. He studied like Hikaduvas Sumangala, Tiranyanisara, Surya Buddhist principles, Buddhist ideals and concepts. Important for him because during these times, in early 20th century, there had been some translations of Pali scripts already available, many in English, but not so many in German. So his idea was to spread the Dharma and to invite people for applying Buddhism with reading Pali Buddhist treatises in German language then. So what he did from 19 onwards, he published his own translations of the Pali and his own interpretations of the Pali. So he wanted to apply Buddhism as he had learned this in Sri Lanka to modern science, to the way of modern understanding. And modern understanding was natural science. Dr. Dahlke was a modernist himself. He was a physician, a doctor, and trained in modern science. So he interpreted Buddhism in modern terms and in modern language to his followers. Dahlke published many treatises and went regularly to Ceylon. From 1900 to 1940, 6 or 7 days, 7 times to Sri Lanka, studied in the monasteries. He stayed in the winter months. When it's cold in Germany, when it's cold in Berlin, then he traveled to South Asia for months and studied with these distinguished monks, Pali and Pali Buddhism and the Pali Canon. And during the summer months, he treated his patients, he earned money for his travels, and he wanted to spread the Dharma by publications then. He founded a journal, 2 different journals, and he published books. Books not easy to understand them, as in a way, those people he attracted to more that he speak to the normal persons. But actually, reading his treatises, it's not really easy to understanding Buddhism as taught these days. In 1940, the First World War came about. Dahlke was on his way to Colombo, but he needed to stay in Germany then. His parents stayed on the north island of Germany. This reminded him of Colombo, the clouds of the blue sky, the waves, white climate, and very reminded him. So he came up with the idea of building a Buddhist house for lay followers on this island Suriname. He made concrete plans with his colleagues. He had a few pupils already, then very few, because he had very high demands on his pupils then. And so people came to him, but many left him as well then. So he had plans to build a house, how to build a concrete house for Buddhist lay followers. Dante himself considered not appropriate, and to his mind and his understanding, not that appropriate for many Western people. That there had been with Nyanatiloka, with Ananda, young people in Burma, living in Ceylon, who had been Europeans, becoming monks, but on the average, the lay people. We want to speak to the lay people and try to bring the Dhamma over to them. So they make followers on remote islands. However, there had been plans after the First World War to connect the remote island Zurich with a dam. And the was a way of very. He was able to purchase a large in the outskirts of Berlin, in Frohnau, the suburb of Frohnau, being far away from central Berlin, the capital of Germany, but it was far away and in a kind of remote area in those days. So, we had been there yesterday, we had been there today then, with this nice surrounding. It was a remote area. There he started his way of building a vihara. He called it a vihara. 1923, with the architect Max Meyer, this new house for himself, and he constructed this in 1924. In 1924, in August, he went to this house with his few followers, Gräfin Monslau, Margarete Lau, and Elisabeth Fischer. So there had been just a handful, less than 10 people going there. So they started living there in the house. The house was to apply the five principles, 5 ethical conducts. So they needed to come to be, everyone living there needed to stay with this. Plus, additional any music and things like this. I've been a fan who had been an admirer of Beethoven, of the classics, of music, of mathematics. Step by step, he left this down. He focused more on Buddhism and did away with his predilections about mathematics, music, arts, and that like them. So in 1924, in October, this lay place, I must say lay place, and he said, I need to take up the light is not that good here. He said in his inauguration speech then, quote, "The aim and intention of the house is to create a local focal point, a permanent home for Buddhism in the West." And indeed, he did that. And he continued, "It is our intention to create a place and an oasis for individuals who like to meditate, and who would like to withdraw from the daily stress of a period of time in order to collect new strengths among like-minded, although they do not necessarily need to be people with similar beliefs. It is not our intention to establish a monastery." So that had been the ideas of Paudaki. He was not critical of monks then. He had been learning of monks and Buddhism. He has high respect of monks then. But he said, is it really the right thing and the right place for becoming a monk and living as a monk in Europe in those days then? Times have changed since then, but since he was able to establish this vihara. Dharma reminded the people who could not
fully identified with a Spartan-like life and meditative style of life that high and considerable demand towards the of lifestyle. The living together was regulated by a house, already said, as secure place of outer and inner cleanness. He called it outer and inner cleanness. The house should deal with the carefulness and of a separate set of rules of hermitage. And in one of the names is the about the life of Paul Darke. In the second part, I'd like to emphasize the point on staying west, looking east. And I title it, the second part, Happiness of Renunciation, Great Enjoyment. That's a quote from Paul Darke. In this house, Darke had created a world of discipline and carefulness for himself and his followers. It was here where Darke could make his renunciation, purification, person come true. Darke's understanding to apply Buddhism as a teacher culminated in the process of self-educating, domestication of the senses, ascetic, especially the monastic way of. Step by step, Darke had given up pleasures such as his predilection for art objects, mathematics, pavaja, the path leading to the outside. So going for refuge. Darke wanted to get rid of all the defilements of daily life. Only by renunciation would it be possible to leave the conventional, ordinary life behind and to realize a contemplative side of life. And indeed, Darke in his days, in the 1920s, there have been other Buddhists around, also in the day, but meditated in very few took the teaching to heart, to apply it to the daily life and applying it to meditative way of life. Descriptions of life about himself, values such as renunciation. Renunciation in terms of detachment from oneself and Selbstlosigkeit, and teaching oneself, Selbsterziehung. Darke followed old paths on new ways with new concepts from German ideas of loneliness, self-cultivation, and moral heroism. Though by religion, Darke took Eastern path, becoming a Buddhist, culturally remained faithful to the glorifying ideals of the German educated class. Darke's cultural grammar spoke about happiness of renunciation and imperturbable serenity. His student Dorothea described almost admiring Darke of renunciation as Giro records. Quote, Darke sat on a narrow bench without death, but he never allowed himself a more comfortable sleeping place. His way of life was so steady and modest as he was used by no Buddhist the only and his work was producing heroic the financing of the construction as well as to continue his literary activities. As Margaret Lau noted, to for financing for the estate each day, he never his work required a full effort on his behalf through half of the night. He got out at 4 and even at 3, however, latest by 5 in the morning to be able to work. And the exhibition that in the Buddhist house in 1924, he built a temple in 1926 Actually, a year later, 1927, he added a Buddhist island, Sylt, so it was one of the first ever monuments in West Africa. And as we see now, and which we see now with a very nice exhibition on the grounds of the park, he continued working with his meditative path and other cells and the war sites and additionally. So he was continually working on the Buddhist house on these grounds and continued trying to explain by emotional and architectural aspects the way of spreading the Dharma. He glorified a simple donation. He strongly submitted himself to the aim of renunciation. He was permanently concerned about the own self in a deep and inscrutable manner. In accordance with Schopenhauer, he gave reverence to the genius and anything heroic. In short, romantic heroism of carrying out the purified cultivation with the understanding of Buddhism as teaching of reality. He declared, Buddhism is similar to a bitter tasting medicament, which is prescribed to a sick person by a doctor, and he himself was a doctor himself. There is no real knowledge in Buddhism without any concrete way of living. There's also no knowledge without the sacrifice of renunciation. A Buddhism which doesn't provide sacrificing the self-centeredness is no. So what he understood is applying Buddhism to life is renunciation, but not necessarily becoming a monk, but as a lay person, but getting rid of all pleasures of life. Dark interpreted Buddhism as a clear but solid teaching of living, whose greatness is not based on its idealism, but on its content of reality. It is a centrality for Dharka to define the idea of reality and its meaning. According to Dharka, Buddha is the harbinger of reality, the reality harbinger. In his long treatise, Der Buddhismus, Dharka analyzed the notion and existence of reality in a complex and elaborated manner. In a distinct manner, he turns against the interpretation of reality and explanation, emphasis on the one hand delivered by faith, on the other hand by science. According to Dharka, the genius thinker has to have an accurate view of the fact that with Buddhism he enters into a world which has neither to believe nor can be proved, but which, however, experiences itself as nourishment and has to experience it as such. Dharka is eager to emphasize his practical aspect of the transfer of the teaching to a style of simple living. It is, as he said, the actualization, the realization of the content of the realization of the content of reality and the process of nourishment which defines Buddhism. So his main point is that Buddhism is to be understood as reality and understanding, and this reality can't be proved and can't be believed, but Buddhism is a middle way to go through both. Let me finally turn to the last days of Paul Dharka and the further developments of the Buddhist house. We heard a bit about this already. He added a building, he added a temple in Japanese in 1926. On full moon days, Upasutta ceremonies were carried out. More than 100 people attended this. It was overcrowded. There had many people around in the 1930s. And I spoke to elder Buddhists in the 1990s who had been at the House of Dharka in 1933, 1934, and he told about these celebrations, then how many people attended this. Famous people coming there to Dharka. The Count Hermann Kaiserling visited him, and as we all know, Dhammapada stayed for 10 days, 1925. On Sundays, the park of this house was visited by numerous visitors from Berlin. In a certain sense, the Berlin bourgeois considered Buddhism Dharka as a curiosity about his fascination of life. In autumn 27, Dharka became very sick. A student, Margaret Lau, recalled his body literally decayed under the work and his life. He became weaker and more delicate. died full moon day in February of the following, on the 29th February 1928. With smiling face and clear consciousness, was only made known to public, and Darke's body was buried on the territory of the, at that time unknown to his followers. A certificate was issued. Darke, who was admired by his followers as a preacher of the discipline and whose interpretation with a redemption act of humanity, wanted to calm any cult around him. Initially, Sister Bertha Darke continued the work of the house during the 1900s. Darke had become his first student and admired his brother. The sister sold the large estate because the financing were very limited, and the sisters refused, however, to sell Chinese Buddhists in the 1930s who wanted to buy the ground and turn this into the Yodo Shinju temple. The sisters very clearly said, we want to keep the connection to Ceylon and to Theravada Buddhism. However, the devastating war were no good for the house. In 1942, every Buddhist activities were forbidden. After the war, 1945 following, there had been refugees in the house, and nobody really cared for the house. There was a threatened by dilapidation. That it would not be in the position of the Buddhist house if not happy hand somehow turned up. And this conspicuously is connected with Sinhalese jeweler Asoka Verananda. He traveled in Germany on a business in 1951 and came about the low moral and the looking for new morals by Germans, and he thought that spreading the Dharma would be the best to help the German people. Then he traveled again to Germany in 1953 and sending his mission monks to Germany and so a few institutions. In 1952, he founded the society in Ceylon and had very much support in sending over monks to Germany. And by 1957, and Tisa Verananda told us already, he was able to get the Buddhist estate from a hire of Darke, the treaty on the island of Sylt, and then renovated the house in 1957. In June 1957, the first 3 monks were sent off from Sri Lanka and lived in Germany in July the same year. From then onwards, monks had been living in the house and tried to spread the Dharma. Some of this was because spreading the Dharma with the German language, and some succeeded well, others not that well. But Asoka Verananda were being the savior of the house. Buddhism's rapid growth in Germany and elsewhere since the 1970s, however, considerably changes and impact of the Buddhist house and the German Dhammadutta society. In Western Germany and Western Europe until the mid-1900s, the explosive development with a rush of newly set in Zen and Tibetan teachers and traditions to some extent have marginalized. It became one among many, and many did not be aware of this treasure which had been around in Berlin. In 2000, the society was revived with the election of new office bearers. Detailed articles appeared in the national papers of Sri Lanka, in the society's works, and the keynote speaker Bhikkhu Bodhi commemorated the first anniversary of the death of the society's Asoka Verananda in July 2000, followed by the publication of new booklets. In 2002, the 50-year anniversary of the foundation publicly celebrated and nicely made anniversary published. Activities also attended Vesak celebrations, public lectures, much more. And finally, yesterday and today, we are celebrating 100th anniversary of the Buddhist House Berlin. And we have to thank again Paul Dahlke for initiating this founding of this house and Asuka Viranatna for saving this house. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Professor Baumann, for the interesting speech. Thank you for appreciating the exhibition and the exhibition tour which took place yesterday at the Buddhistische Haus. Are there any questions to Professor Baumann pertaining to the topic? If not, I will just take off asking one question. Do you think that the pessimistic, as the Germans called Schopenhauer at that time, influenced by Buddha's teachings, or were his ideas own ones?
Okay. So the question is, people in Frohnau have been interested in Buddhism.
No. Schopenhauer was influenced by Buddha, or his ideas were
I see. Okay. The question is whether influenced by Buddhism. Schopenhauer had read in the 1830s and 20s a lot of Buddhist treatises, but Schopenhauer was very much convinced of his own, and he was not a Buddhist then. He thought that Buddha and he himself had the same ideas, but in his life, so the will and intention of reality and of the world, and Schopenhauer did not take up this idea, but the philosophy of Schopenhauer's philosophy is in a way, well, Buddha history is right that this philosophy of that the will is only a perception of mind, then this is the, but he was not in a way influenced by Buddha.
Thank you, Professor. Now we want to give your ears and offer something for your eyes, a dance from Thailand. Buddha Bhuka dance is a performance of the triple gems. The gesture and the movement are imitated from images of dancer statues displayed in the Museum of Thailand. It's a creative performance that generates beauty and gracefulness, and hence used to promote Thai. Yes, please. The Buddha Puja was performed by Nasa Shiman Jeva Sujja Spivo. Seneca Veeratna, Secretary of the GDS, one wrote, as Dr. Palka will be remembered as the founder of the Buddhistische Haus, Mr. Asoka Veeratna, later when the meeting will be remembered as a savior of the same. Definitely, Mr. Asoka Veeratna made a significant contribution. Made a significant contribution to Buddhist teachings in Germany and overcome several hindrances prevailing in post-war Germany. Venerable Dr. Vijay Rajpura Silavansa Thero will now talk in German about Asoka Veeratna's understanding of the key issues standing in the way of propagation of Dhamma in the Western world and the applicability of his solutions to the modern society. Herr Seneca Veeratna, Generalsekretär des German Dharma-Buddhist Society, schrieb einmal, so wie man sich an Dr. Polka als der Gründer des buddhistischen Hauses erinnert, sich an Asoka Venerable Netrigananda Dhamma-Lisanti Thero, den Retter, Herr Veeratna, zwei Beitrag zur Verbreitung der Lehren Buddhas in Deutschland geleistet, nachdem er verschiedene Hinweise Dr. Herr Asoka Veeratna, die Schlüsselprobleme, die in der Verwendung des Dhamma in der westlichen Welt im Wege standen, erkannten Unwendbarkeitslösungen auf die moderne Gesellschaft. Das hat das Thema auch für die Weiterführung des Buddhistischen.
Namo Buddhaya, Verehrung, die wir haben, vollkommen erfüllt. Verehrte liebe Mönche, verehrte liebe Exzellenz, liebe Mahatma, Herrn Ananda Vimaladharma, auch liebe Frau Vimaladharma, liebe Freunde Vimaladharma, wir sind heute hier an die Feier 100 Jahre bestätigen des Buddhistischen Haus in Frohnau teilnehmen. 100 Jahre ist für uns sehr lange Zeit. Für die Gründer ist es nicht so lang. Wir haben aber viele Begegnungen mit vielen Menschen, die auch sehr erleben. Wir kennen auch sehr viele Orte, Texte, dass sie sehr lange sind. Auch sie haben gesagt, so ein Leben ist ein wunderbares Leben. Die Orte sind auch genauso. Manche Orte sind wirklich sehr lang. Sie leben sehr lang, es steht sehr lang. Aber sie tun jetzt etwas Gutes. Es gibt gute Plätze, existieren nicht so lang. Auch schade. Wenn wir nach Indien fahren, wenn wir so wie Geterheim besuchen, die ist 2500 Jahre alt. Wenn wir heute dorthin gehen, wir spüren so viel Energie, so viel Kraft. Das buddhistische Haus ist auch so ein Ort. Sehr viel Energie, sehr viele gute Dinge gemacht. Der Mensch steht. Sehr viele Menschen, dieser Ort, dieses Haus ist 19 gegründet worden. Nicht von einem Asiaten, sondern ein westlicher Mensch namens Paul Dahl. Wir haben ihn nicht getroffen. Als Person haben wir nicht getroffen. Aber wir haben von ihm oder viele Bücher von ihm gelesen. Durch diese Bücher können wir wirklich erkennen, wie er wirklich war. Die Zeit, als er lebte, war eigentlich hier im Westen. In Deutschland haben die Buddhisten, die Lehrer des Buddha praktizieren, eigentlich über 200 Jahre. Wir haben schon gehört, er war kein Buddhist. Er hat aber Buddhismus gekannt. Er hat viele Bücher gelesen damals, auch seine Zeit gab buddhistische Literatur. Nicht nur Arthur Schopenhauer, es gibt auch sehr viele Literatur in Deutschland. Ich habe in meinem Leben sehr viele Buddhisten im Westen getroffen. Ich habe diese Menschen gefragt, wo sie wirklich die Lehre des Buddha und einfach gelernt haben. Ich kann mich erinnern. Ich weiß das auch. Viele Menschen haben mir gesagt, dass sie einmal das Buch von Hesse gelesen haben. Durch dieses Buch, sie haben dieses Buch gelesen und sie haben eine sehr große Neugier entstanden. Sie haben angefangen zu suchen, was der Hesse wirklich gesagt hat. Und so sind auch viele Menschen damals mit verschiedenen literarischen Werken zum Buddhismus gekommen. Paul Dahlke war eigentlich ein neugieriger Mensch. Nicht nur für den Buddhismus, ich habe auch von seiner eigenen Literatur gelesen. Heilung, ganzheitliche Heilung, wie man das schafft. Das war eine interessante Erklärung. Das war auch eine große Neugier, hat er gehabt. Und er hat darüber geschrieben. Und diese Neugier hat ihm dann einen Weg gezeigt zum Buddhismus. Er ging nach Asien. Er traf viele Mönche, besonders damals in Sri Lanka. Und er lernte Buddhismus. Er praktizierte. Und diese Praxis war ein ganz wichtig ist das Wort Dhamma, Dhamma ergründen. Das war sein Thema. Dhamma lernen heißt nicht, dass der Mensch irgendwie buddhistische Texte lesen, sondern den Inhalt, diese Inhalte immer wieder ergründen. Und so entstanden eigentlich das Haus Frohnau. Es starb spätere Zeit diese Energie, das ist eigentlich nichts verloren. Man hat die eigentlich keine Praxis, aber der Energie ist gegeben. Die Zeit kam ein Mann, ein Geschäftsmann nach Deutschland namens Ashoka. Er hat nicht hier Buddhismus gesucht. Ich habe gehört, er war ein Geschäftsmann. Er wollte Glaube hat der große Interesse gehabt, Edelsteine. Und er hat Edelsteine so ein Werk, aber wertvollste Steine in unserer Hand. Nächstes Juwelen. Ich werde diese 3 Juwelen nicht Menschen. Ich werde diese 4 Juwelen den Menschen geben. So mit diesen Gedanken anfangen, einen Ort zu suchen, diese Edelsteine wirklich den Menschen zu geben. Wer war dieser Ashoka? Ist eine Vision, der den Antrieb und die Ausdauer hat, diese auch umzusetzen. Und hat sich und intensiv mit der Lehre des Buddha gesetzt. Ließ sich dabei nie entmutigen. Gab niemals auf. Auch niemals nur mit Teilerfolgen. Das war seine 3 Aspekte, Wirklichkeit, Business für die Europäer. Nie entmutigen, nie aufgeben. Zweite, dritte, nicht Teilerfolgen zufrieden werden. Paul Dahlke hat in seinem Buch einmal geschrieben, wer etwas halb versteht, der versteht falsch. Eine sehr wunderschöne Sache. Wer etwas halb versteht, der versteht falsch. Das interessiert dann Ashoka Virana. Etwas sein Teilerfolg ist nicht ein Erfolg. Man soll weiter praktizieren. Die Mut nie verlieren. Nicht, dass er diesen Mut nicht verlieren soll. Die Lehre des Buddha zu verstehen einfach. Es ist nicht so kompliziert. Wir sehen, wenn wir die Lehre des Buddha lesen, wir haben ganz einfache Dinge erklärt, der Buddha. Wie? Wenn die Ursache da, wenn die Ursache auseinandergeht, dann sind nicht mehr da. Ursache und Wirkung. Hetupaladhamma. Das erklärt der Buddha. Und diese ist eigentlich seine universelle Lehre. Aus den Bedingungen entsteht, so lange die Bedingungen sind, die Dinge sind da, wenn die Bedingungen auseinandergehen, dann erleben wir nichts. Das ist eine Methode. Und diese Dinge sind in der Methode erklärt, Meditation und meditative Praxis können etwas erkennen. Das Nichtheit, die Nichtheit erkennt man nur, wenn man etwas ergründen kann. Ergründen, es ist sehr wichtig, wenn jemand wirklich ohne etwas beobachtet. Wir sollen nicht ohne sein. Wir sollen immer gründlich sein. Und gründlich sein, Jan hat einmal in seinem Buch geschrieben, viele Leute verwenden das oberflächlich. Der Jan Poniker hat gesagt, stattdessen sollen wir diese Bedeutung, sei gründlich. Das gleiche positiv geäußert. Das war auch der Idee von den Ashoka Virratna. Nicht oberflächlich sein. Und ein dritter hat immer betont, wie der Buddha oft gesagt hat, wir sollen immer die Dinge versuchen, die Dinge so zu sehen, wie sie wirklich sind. Das war auch der Idee von Ashoka Virratna. Versuchen wir gemeinsam, die Dinge so zu sehen, wie sie wirklich sind. Wirklichkeitsgemäße Erkenntnis ist notwendig, Leidbefreiung zu erlangen. Wir können nicht etwas Oberflächliches erkennen und Leid zu überwinden. Und deshalb sagt wir sollen nicht drei Merkmale des Daseins hat, ist wirklich einfach. Der menschliche Mensch erkannt. Ich meine, das muss nicht gleich den Leidbefreiung zu führen, aber sie haben sehr viele Dinge erfüllt. Warum können wir nicht, weil nicht der Lehre des Buddha schwer ist, sondern wir haben einen komplizierten Geist. Unser Geist ist so kompliziert. Und deshalb hat der gedacht, diese Menschen. Wenn jemand sagt, die westlichen Menschen brauchen Hilfe, man kann sagen, was für Hilfe brauchen wir? Ich bin jetzt 1 Jahre in diesem Land, diesem Kontinent. Westlicher Mensch gesprochen, diskutiert. Ich sehe Wirklichkeit, die aber geistig arm sind. Ehrliche, geistige, arme Menschen. Das ist keine negative Beschreibung. Sie sind ehrlich, sie haben keinen richtigen Weg, diesen Weg oder Zufriedenheit zu finden. Irgendwie einen Platz im Westen. Und seine große, die Lehre des Buddha im Westen und besonders sowohl damals als auch heute das Zentrum in Europa. Wenn man das nicht akzeptiert, ist ist ihre Sache. Das, wenn ganz Europa folgen das. Und deshalb, dieses Land ist sehr wichtig. Und er hat auch möglicherweise gedacht, dass sich der Buddhismus in Europa besonders verbreiten würde, in Deutschland etabliert wird. Deutschland als wichtiges Zentrum für die Zukunft der Lehre. Am 1982, ich habe Buddhismus im Westen, ich habe gelesen, damals war eigentlich Anfang, ganz wenige Buddhisten, 60, 70. Spätere Zeit über 1000 buddhistische Sekten gibt, auch in Deutschland. So viel, auch 1980 Jahre in der Geschichte der Religion in Europa. Buddhismus als staatlich anerkannte Religion erklärten nicht Deutschland, Österreich. 1983. Ich war damals in Österreich. Wir haben uns sehr gefreut. Wenn der Parlament im Gesetz rausgekommen ist, Buddhismus ab jetzt staatliche Religion in diesem Land. Und das ist auch der Einfluss von den deutschen Buddhisten. Und so hat eigentlich immer gedacht, und dann ist das eigentlich, er wollte in Deutschland ein Zentrum gründen. Überall. Am Ende hat er verlangsamend Information bekommen. Es gibt eine wunderschöne Stadt in Berlin und sie wollen das, dieses Haus loswerden. Sie wollen das verkaufen. Das können wir haben. Und er kam hierher. Ich habe einmal gelesen, das ist da, ich glaube damals war 16.000 Quadratmeter, vielleicht mehr. Und das hat er gekauft, 100.000 D-Mark. Das habe ich gehört. 100.000 D-Mark ist heute, damals ist eigentlich viel. Und dann, er hat eigentlich vorher, 19, weil der Dr. Hat erklärt, 82, 52 hat er eine Society namens German Dhammadutta Society. Und ich kann mich erinnern, ich habe das auch ihn getroffen, 19, ich habe nie gesehen, das sogar gehört. Nie getroffen. Aber doch bei der Tante getroffen, 1983, in diesem Haus. Er hat mir erzählt, wie er in Wirklichkeit dieses Zentrum gegründet hat, auch wie die mit Mönchen gearbeitet hat. Vorher hat er mit den wichtigsten Mönchen wie dabei lebte und Jnana Ponika und mit ihnen eigentlich 57 hat er gekauft. Und dann hat er dieses Haus eigentlich Vihara gegründet. Aber in diesem Namen, das buddhistische Haus Frohnau ist nicht hier. Aber die von Sri Lanka nicht. Und dann auch Ashoka Virratna, ganz wichtige Arbeit ist für mich, ist eigentlich, er gründet ein Meditationszentrum in Niedriger. Nicht jemand, ein Mönch, sondern damals der wichtigste Mönch in Sri Lanka, nämlich Madhuranyana. Viele haben gedacht, er ist eigentlich Aryapungala. Mit ihm angefangen, das ist ein entwickelter Mensch. Und er hat dann dieses Haus gegründet, ein Meditationszentrum Niedriger gegründet, aber kooperiert German Buddhist, German Dharma Society zusammen. Er wollte Zukunft. Eigentlich Mönche aus diesem Zentrum nach Europa schicken. Ich glaube nicht, dass er das geschafft hat. Von diesem Haus kamen die Mönche nach Deutschland. Ganz andere Mönche sind eigentlich gekommen. Man kann sagen, und dann ist das wichtig, ist dieses Zentrum niedriger doch. Dieses Zentrum ist sehr wichtig. Ich möchte an dieser Stelle einige Worte über die besondere Bedeutung des Meditationszentrums niedriger verlieren. Denn das ursprüngliche intendierte Ziel, möglichst viele buddhistische Mönche in Sri Lanka auszubilden und dann nach Europa wurde nicht eigentlich erreicht. Und warum nicht? Dann ist es wichtig. Wichtig ist deshalb, in diesem Meditationszentrum lebte ganz viel. Und möchte ich einige Mönche erwähnen. Bekannteste und vielleicht wichtigste dieser aus niedriger Autor war der Rüdiger Katukunde Nanananda. Der Mahathera war nie dann im Ausland. Er kam nicht Deutschland. Als Sohn erschien er nicht in diesem Kontinent. Aber seine Bücher hat die Menschen, tausende Menschen geholfen, die das Buddha richtig und tief zu verstehen. Bücher war eigentlich Hauptwerke, zählen wir Konzept und Realität. Und das Buch. Nirgendwo gibt es so ein Buch wie die Konzept und Realität. So gut erklärt, wie man wirklich die Papanta richtig erkennen und verstehen kann. Und auch, dass es sehr viele Bücher, The Magic of the Mind und so weiter, gibt es so viele Bücher, auch Nibbana gibt es sehr und so, also viele andere eigene Ideen gehabt, was die wichtig waren. Andere waren eigentlich, das haben wir, ein Mönch hat gefragt, was die Menschen, wenn nach Europa kommen, was sie wirklich lernen. Wichtigste war eigentlich, erste, der universelle Dharma richtig erkennen. Universelle Dharma heißt eigentlich erstens, die Lehre des Buddha, diese zentralen Punkte soll man gut lernen. Wie die Paticcasamuppada, Karma da sein, auch dann die Lakkhana und so weiter. Und dann auch, das ist, sagt die Meditation für die Mönche sehr wichtig. Westliche Menschen brauchen nicht so viele Informationen. Für Informationen haben sie genug Bücher. Aber sie brauchen eigentlich die Kalyana Mitta. Die Mönche sollen überall Kalyana Mitta, edle Freunde werden. Und das ist sehr wichtig. Die Menschen im Westen, ich habe meine eigene Erfahrung gehabt, sie haben keine guten Freunde. Wenn sie irgendeinen Mönch als Kalyana Mitta finden, sie bleiben bei diesem Mönch. Die gehen weg. Und deshalb ist Kalyana Mitta, die edle Freundschaft ist sehr wichtig für die westlichen Menschen. Auch sehr wichtig ist eigentlich nicht nur den Gehirn, den Geist der Menschen, sondern Herz. Sie brauchen das. Dafür brauchen wir sehr viele Corona. Und wir sollen das wirklich vermitteln. Die Mönche brauchen eigentlich, wir haben gesprochen, der kulturelle Sachen ist notwendig, das auch. Wir sollen nicht sagen, ohne Kultur können wir alles machen, das wird dann sehr trocken. Ich sage, Herrn Dies hat gesagt, dass sie so viele Mönche machen, die kulturelle Sachen. Ich sage ein Beispiel, mit Beispiel beenden wir. Ich glaube, es sind schon 15 Minuten vorbei, ich glaube, nicht mehr. Und ich sage, das ist so, wenn wir irgendwie Bananen kaufen wollen, wir gehen ins Geschäft, wie kaufen wir Bananen? Bananen kaufen wir mit Schalen. Aber wir essen die Schalen nicht. Wenn wir in ein Geschäft gehen, der Geschäftsmann sagt, ich esse Schalen nicht, geben Sie nur innere Kern. Die sagen, nein, gehen Sie weg. So verkaufe ich es nicht. Und man kann fragen, wozu ist das diese Schale? Er wird sagen, alle können wir nicht innere Kern zu. So ist dann kulturelle Sachen, rituale Dinge. Die rituale Dinge schützen der innere Kern. Wir können nicht sagen, wir brauchen nur das Kern der Banane. Nein, das geht nicht. Und deshalb kulturelle Werte sind auch sehr wichtig. Und Puja sind auch wichtig. Aber wenn jemand Banane kauft, ich habe auch Schalen Geld bezahlt, wenn sie eigentlich auch den Schalen essen, dann sie sollen nicht den Schalen essen. Das sollen sorgfältig wegnehmen und nur innere Kern essen. Und so sollen wir hier in Dhamma verbreiten, auch Dhamma lernen. So, wenn wir das machen können, dann ist solche Senden wunderbare Senden. Das spüre ich. Ich spüre es irgendwo anders, dass die Menschen wirklich sehr großes Interesse haben und sie wollen praktizieren. Und so einen Platz wie das Buddhistische Haus, ein wunderbarer Platz, Dhamma zu üben. Ich wünsche allen, ich lade allen ein, bitte kommen, Dhamma praktizieren und sie sollen unterstützen, ist nicht nur Praxis. Dieses Haus besteht nur, wenn wir dann auch materielle Unterstützung geben, das sollen sie auch machen. Und ich wünsche euch allen noch einen schönen Abend und vielen Dank, dass Sie zugehört haben. Mögen Sie wohllaufen und glücklich sein. Möge dieses Haus, das Buddhistische Haus, noch viele, viele Jahre bestehen. Vielen Dank.
Vielen Dank, Venerable. Ich glaube auch, Venerable, Sie haben auch eine Antwort auf die Frage vorhin von dem geliefert. We are now looking forward to honor the great contributions made to make this conference a success. We will start with Dr. Vijayaraj Purasridavansa, who just delivered the speech, and a token of appreciation will be awarded to Venerable from the Indian Ambassador, His Excellency Mr. Harris Thanidi. May I request Your Excellency to come to stage? He's not here?
Then may I request Dr. Krishna Maharaj to hand over the token of appreciation to Venerable Dr. Vijayaraj Seelavatsa. Can you hand over the token of appreciation to Dr. Edulu PTA Upananda Theru? The next token of appreciation will be awarded to Venerable Dr. Elizabeth Sujatha. And I request Sri Lankan Ambassador Mrs. Varuni Muthukumar to spoken. Venerable Dr. a great contribution towards making this first shift, the commemorative publication possible. Thank you. May I now request His Excellency Mr. Ramkaj Khadka, not here. Then Her Excellency Mrs. Sang Seita Pakistan.
text to audio 2 කියන එක අතනින් දාන්න මේ icon settings වලට.
Monitor. Yeah, make. මෙතන එක ඉන්නේ. And development sector. Persi cricket panel banget saya.
establish and service for the society. So this special, the first I will talk about the first is Dr. Paul Daka. And the second is Minister and Bante Asoka. So that's very important, two of those persons to establish at the Das Buddhist House to service for 100 years from now. And you all talk so much about the history. Honey, I'll be not talking about that anymore. But I believe there's many other monks to come to share and to spread the Dhammas for others, for communities within 100 years from now. I believe from the teaching from the Buddha that all Bante give out for the communities, they learn a lot of for their life and they practice and apply for their daily life to be peace and happy and very happy to attend this 100 years special celebration. I would like to thank Bante Pilani Lama Kusala for me this special event. Without him, I cannot be here at this moment. So his achievements of Das Buddhist House for this time are put by managers of the temples. Thank you for that. And he dedicated to the practice and teachings of the Dharma is not only the spiritual leaders of communities, but also play the school role in the social, educational, and cultural life of the nations. Bante come to the house to spread the Dhamma, especially spiritual meditations. Because his expertise in meditation, he is the pathway to inner peace, and it begins when you to still and calm your mind to healing inspirations and profound personal growth that acknowledge the hard work and dedication to help us. Therefore, educational programs inspire communities guided by Buddhist extend to personal development and ethical living. To their teachings and example, inspire individuals to cultivate virtues such as mindfulness, compassion, and generosity. Bante to learn deep lessons from wisdom of Buddhist psychology and the practice of mindfulness by applying to a particular area of your life. Vipassana are technicals to remove suffering from the root. Vipassana are mind-purifying technical and enable people to face stress and problems in the life, calm and balanced mind. He supports our relationship with ourselves and others for more peace and ease in daily life and for the development of wisdom. As you know, Bhante Ramakusala is sharing values of meditations and importance of educations and importance of adaptations and so many things with groups in Das Buddhist House Vihara in Berlin. He always put his effort and enjoy sharing these thoughts, experience, and positive energy with young people because they are our future. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the world of suffering. We are doing good, very good for being is the only things meaningful and want. This realization leads to inner peace, suffering, and a profound unity with all life. My gratitude and respect to all those who are bringing this into the world in their own unique and really felt reassured. I appreciate his kindness, compassion, kind heart, and understandings. Bante Dhammakusala, I wish you to embrace your true potential and be the brightest, most confident, powerful, and success versions of yourself. Last, I would like to send all my gratitude to each and every one of you, especially to the management, associations, and communities of Das Buddhist House. May you all and families for good health, happiness, peaceful, and broad stability. Thank you very much.
Mazanga, distinguished guests and everyone. So I'm come here to speak on behalf of my master, the president of Cambodian Buddhist Monk Society in USA, Brett Mahasangha Dipiti, in the of Minnesota. We have a Cambodian Buddhist Monk Society in USA just only 6 years, and we have 100 daughters and more than 400 monks as a member. And we perform Tipitaka chanting, Visakha Puja, and in USA, and we have a channel to lead 2-year international Tripitaka chanting via India. Last year and this year, December to come, December 2nd to December 12th, we have international Tripitaka chanting. So we would like to invite all of you to join us in Budhgaya December. You're welcome to join us. So today is a very special day. So on the Cambodian Buddhist Monk Society in USA, we congratulate 100 years of the Buddhist house or Buddhist Berlin Buddhist Vihara, founded by the Paul Dalge and by Ashoka Viraratana. Actually, thank you very much, Tessa Viraratana and the members of Buddhist house, because you know what that shocked me, that attracted me to come here in Berlin. In January, I came and I see the version of Cambodian Tripitaka translation, the first and second volume, the first and second publication found in Buddhistische House, 90 books, 90 copies. And those are things no more in Cambodia because we faced the war between 1975 to 1979. All the books were destroyed and burned. And we found here as original copy, and just only 90, not complete. We have, in total, we have 110. But at that time, because our ambassador in 1967 brought all those copies, the publication come to the Buddhist house, and at that time we don't have complete set of the Tripitaka yet. That's why we have only 90. So thank you very much, Tessa Viraratana, to keep all of this for us, and is thankful. And so this is very auspicious occasion that we come here and united to come USA and Europe maybe work together for promoting Buddhism, because the Buddha's teaching, the only teaching that we can promote and bring more peace and harmony to the world. In USA, we accepted Buddhism many years ago, but usually they use as the treatment. Mindfulness-based stress reduction is very famous in USA from 1970 by John K. Baptiste and Ellen Langer to spread Buddhist teaching to America. And now we have more than 1,000 Buddhist centers in America. Even American people become a Buddhist and following from Germany, especially psychologists start from Leipzig, Dr. William Wundt, and take influence to USA, and they practice modern Buddhism, like Dr. Martin Husserl, Dr. Edmund Husserl, Dr. Martin Heidegger of Germany. They brought mindfulness like Bezino, Bezino to mindfulness, and spread this theory to USA also. So thank you very much for that occasion and invited us. So in Namen the Cambodianischen Buddhistischen Gesellschaft gratuliert dem Buddhistische Haus zum 100-jährigen Jubiläum. Danke vielmals.
Yes. We are running short of time a little bit, so let's speed up. Now we have a short speech which was unforeseen in the agenda before. It's from Reverend Dr. Sri Sumana Siri from the International Buddhist Cultural Organization in Singapore.
Venerable Brother Vance, Bhikkhuni Sujata, His Excellency, sisters and brothers in the Dhamma. It is a great opportunity to come to join the Buddhist house, which I came about 42 years ago before, and to have a few words with all of you. The biggest problem here is environmental crisis. You say Guten Tag, or you say Buongiorno in Italian. You refer to the day. You don't ask how the day is. Have a good day. You don't ask how are you in certain languages. In the pursuit of environmental problems, we talk from a Buddhist moralistic and ethical point of view that full awareness is so important. That is why the Buddhist house is important, because it's based on awareness, meditation. And when that is not there, when you are greedy, you have a lot of waste and rubbish in the world. So Buddhism, or the Buddha, his compassion, is to see that we take care of our trees, our plants, our animals, and ourselves. When you say Sabbe Satta, Metta for all, not only that, for the fauna and the flora also, not only for humans. Guided by the principle of the golden rule, compare oneself. You don't want to be hurt, and then you should not hurt others. This is a Buddha saying which is now used like somebody else is saying in the world. But Buddhism is for the here and now. And if you are aware here and now, you'll see how important it is to have the right kind of environment. So this, the Buddha in the Dhamma very clearly. And even Emperor Ashoka, he built hospitals not only for human beings, for animals as well. He made a lot of wells and took care of the fauna and flora of India. So Buddha's green politics, we call this. Such green economics and policies are symbolically evident because the Buddha was born under a tree, enlightened under a tree, and passed away under sala trees. So that is very symbolic. And the Buddha's way is very multi-dimensional, not just one-way track. It is a universal form of teachings, good in the beginning, better in the middle, and finally refined at the end. And he has given 4 ways to gain that happiness. Be well, rich, but don't be over greedy. Don't be happy just eating by selling and all that. Reduce. Alternative economics for the benefit, for the world, for the human being. Keep your measure. Too much is too bad. It's happiness comes not just because of what you consume. Be an enlightened consumer, not buying and selling. Life is more than that. So that is why you have the happiness index given by the king of Bhutan as an alternative way to become here and now and hereafter in the world. Now, the United Nations once had this General Secretary Dag Hammarskjöld, I can't remember pronounce his name, it's like Danish. He demanded people talk about only human rights. Why don't they talk about human duties? We have duties to take care of our environment, not only ourselves, our plants, our trees, and be mindful in our ethics. Even if you are not taking care of your parents, legally you have the right in family law which says duty to care. And if you don't take care of the parents, you can take them to the courts. This is a very good human right as well. So the Schumacher School of Thought, Schumacher who wrote the book called in 1973, Small is Beautiful. He chose Burma as a Buddhist country. That time Burma was quite okay. Long ago in the 1950s he went there. And Schumacher was the advisor to the British, UK industry, a scientist. And he saw the great Buddhism, giving you small teachings which brings the highest form of happiness. And this is what he created from his abilities. And Eric Fromm also suggests we must prohibit the use of all forms of hypnotic effects applied both in the field of consumption and in the field of politics. These methods constitute a serious mental health, especially to clear and critical thinking and emotional independence. And the Dalai Lama says, a spiritual man is one who participates in a joint effort to save the earth. We must save Mother Earth. It's not just an earth. Because you know the Gaia theory says this world, globe, is not just a piece of stone and mud. It's a living organism. That is a NASA scientist. So we have to understand more in our day-to-day deliberations. And I'm happy today to be here because I'm a distant relative of Mr. Asoka Veeraratne, who bought this house from Dr. Paul Dalke. And when I was a young monk, I used to read Paul Dalke's books because he comes to Vajirarani. That is where the English-speaking bhikkhus were. And meet the German monks, the Sri Lankan Sinhalese monks, Venerable Narada. That was my first Dharma teacher who created my Singapore temple. So we have a connection from Paul Dalke and also to Mr. Asoka Veeraratne, who later became Dhammavisanti and started the Mitirigala Aranya. So against this backdrop, we can use the Buddhist teachings with mindfulness of our well-being and the well-being of others, no matter what religion, what tribe, what country they are, and use the universal great teachings of the Buddha. If we take a small example from Achan Buddhadas, who said, Buddhism is the basis of life and death found in the blame, your fame or defame, whether you have happiness or suffering, be in the middle. For Buddhism, the middle way. And that is a good, very proper way of how we can take care of our environment as well. Not to make destroys and to see that we have a better form of living for everybody. This is why the German scientist Kuchenberg, who had about 20 over chemistry patents as a scientist, he says Buddhism is not just a religion. It is socially oriented, practical religion. Yes. So that is a very important statement that comes from Dr. Kuchenberg, who says Buddhism is an empirical science. The science of the Buddha is higher than the normal classical science that we all talk about and appreciate. And also, Professor Padmasiri de Silva made suggestions based on Buddhist ethics and morality for the United Nations to see that the environment is being contained and taken care of well, so that the human life system will become much better. Before I end my few words more, may I say this. Acharya Buddhadasa, the Thai monk, he says, Buddhism and the nature of things, that these 8 vicissitudes we must control ourselves to understand well. Like say for instance, when you have tsunami, all of us were emotionally taken very badly. It was called the cry of the earth, the mother of all species. So it's important not only to look to ourselves and say loving kindness to human beings and others, but to enemies as well. This is how you win. There are a lot of teachings if they want to talk about political morality in Buddhism. Yeah, the tsunami killed 230,000 people in 2004. The Burmese Nargis cyclone killed 130,000 just in Burma. The China Sichuan earthquake, all because of this, using the environment in the wrong way and overspending and overdevelopment, so-called development. So the answer to this is, the Buddha says, Uno loco atitto tanha daso. People always say, this is our problem. We are unsatisfied. Suffering means because you are not satisfied. And when you are suffering, then what happens? You come to the stage where you find the pleasurable and end up there. Therefore, I would like to thank both great human beings, the late Paul and also Veera Ratna, who was originally called Alfred. Then Anagarika Dharmapada changed his name into Dhammapada. David Tevavitara. You see, this is the transformation. This is important and you must keep in mind. So, originally, Asoka Veeraratna was called Alfred Veeraratna. So, therefore, I wish both of them the blissful Nibbana on this 100-year celebration that we monks, lay persons and others, and the good spirits, the devas and others in the bodies. Brothers and sisters, thank you very much. Bom Stuti. Thank you.
Yeah, the history of religion.
The last will be held by Excellency Sri Lanka Islam Tukumar.
Most Venerable Mahasangha, Excellencies and other representatives of missions, representative trustees of the society, Professor Martin Baumann and other distinguished guests, friends of Dharma. It is today that I address you at the International Conference to commemorate the anniversary of Buddhistische Haus, Pranam, among a gathering of practitioners and friends of the Dharma. The government of Sri Lanka and the Embassy of Sri Lanka in Berlin has, over several decades, supported the activities of the Buddhist House. In this context, in parallel to the events of Berlin, the commemorative activities in Sri Lanka were held in Colombo yesterday, hosted by the Honorable Prime Minister of Sri Lanka and with the participation of the German ambassador to Sri Lanka. I hope that this conference will be an opportunity for reflecting on the century-old journey of the Buddhistische Haus, the oldest temple of the Theravada tradition in the West, as well as how best it can contribute to the future dissemination of the Buddha Dharma in the West. This is also an occasion for paying our respects and for showing gratitude to the founders of the Buddhist house. The Buddha taught the importance of this noble virtue of gratitude by his own conduct. As a sign of gratitude to the Bodhi tree that gave him protection on the night of enlightenment, the Buddha stood in silent gratitude for 7 days, meditating about the Bodhi tree. And when deciding to preach the Dharma first, the Buddha delivered his first sermon on the Four Noble Truths to the 5 ascetics who had rendered great service to him in practicing austerities. Therefore, on this occasion, I would like to pay my respects to the founder, German national Paul Dahlke, and so his contemporaries from Germany who assisted him to establish the Buddhistische Haus. Their vision, determination, and effort laid the foundation for the dissemination of the Theravada Buddhism in Europe. We should also be grateful to the many authors and academics who, working in the German language, such as the German Buddhist practitioners, Venerable Nantiloka Mahathera, his student, Venerable Nanaponika Mahathera, and in the present day, academics like Professor Martin Baumann, to mention a few among so many other examples, through their writings and translations, brought Buddhism to Europe and the West. Their translations, summaries, dictionaries are in use even now and have become international standards. They have helped even Buddhists in the East, including myself, to expand on their understanding of the Dharma. The Buddhist house would not have survived 100 years if it had not been restored in the 1950s by the Sri Lankan Ashoka Weeraratne, who, with the assistance of the German Dharmadutta Society, dedicated his life to the Dharma and for the spread of the Dharma in Europe especially. The Buddhist house has been resident to many generations of the Sangha from Sri Lanka and other countries. I believe that Mr. Asoka Weeraratne may have chosen Germany as the main base of his Dharmadutta work in Europe due to the deep regard the Buddhists in Sri Lanka had for many German monks who came to Sri Lanka in the early 20th century, like Venerable Nantiloka and Venerable Nanaponika, and contributed much to the understanding of the Buddha Dharma, both in the East and the West. The central focus of Buddhist teachings is the human mind. The main problems that we face as humans now, especially obstacles for inner peace, are more or less the same as they were in the Buddha's time 2,500 years ago. And according to history, our minds are working more or less the same way since that time. We still feel positive sentiments such as happiness, peace, and negative sentiments such as anger, envy, and so on. Buddhist pioneers such as Mr. Paul Dahlke and Mr. Asoka Weeraratne hoped that the teachings of the Buddha might find resonance among people of the West and that they might use it in a positive sense in their lives to lessen negative sentiments such as suffering and to increase positive aspects such as happiness. The dissemination of Buddhism in the West over the last 100 years has undergone so many transformations. People in the West today may be more interested in Buddhist teachings such as mindfulness, meditation, and social action such as veganism. rather than concepts such as enlightenment. In the West, non-monastic practitioners are often very serious and have founded various Buddhist movements, rather than the Sangha-led communities like in the East. Buddhist concepts such as mindfulness have been widely discussed in the West and have been incorporated into many fields. You even find Buddha balls in cuisines. While these are positive developments, we should also find ways to disseminate a deeper understanding on key Buddhist concepts such as impermanence, suffering, and non-self to the communities outside of Buddhist faiths. Theravada Buddhism has always depended on the monastic community, the Sangha, for the transmission of the Buddhist teachings. Thus, we have to ensure that the Sangha in the West are supported by the lay communities in the West. The Sangha of the Buddhist House has mainly been supported by the Asian communities from Berlin and primarily from Sri Lanka. Before establishing their own communities, the Buddhist communities from Asian countries such as Thailand came to the Berlin Buddhist House for worship. However, in the future, we should examine how to increase the support from lay communities, especially outside of the traditional Asian communities, if the message of Dharma is to find a greater audience outside of the traditional Buddhist communities. In this context, we should be mindful of other religious, cultural, and social dialogues of our times, and to engage with these dialogues for others from non-Asian traditions to be interested in the message of the Dharma. This also means that we must seriously think about what Buddhism has to offer to the people of the Western world in the current context. Western philosophers and religious thinkers have explored some of the same questions that were considered by ancient civilizations of the East. Therefore, in the West, we find many ancient philosophical and religious traditions and writings. We should be drawing on such Western philosophies and if we are to engage with the West in the dissemination of the Dharma and also to enrich our own cultures. To conclude, I would like to pay respect to successive generations of the Sangha in the Buddhist House, who have contributed in many ways to disseminate the Sangha Dharma, Buddha Dharma. In addition, they have supported and served communities such as Sri Lanka and Thailand and assisted to keep some of the cultural heritage in the West. The current Sangha, including Venerable Dhammasala Thero, Venerable Thalkavila Jnanadhamma Thero, have been doing an important service in continuing this noble tradition of the Sangha. I also would like to thank the custodian of the temple, Mr. Tissa Veeratna, for his service to the temple for over 25 years. Also, we have to be grateful for the continuing service of the German Aramadutta Society for supporting the Buddhist house since the 1950s. We must also be very grateful to people and officials of this city of Berlin, especially from Frenau, for hosting and preserving the cultural and architectural heritage of the Buddhist house for over 100 years. This includes numerous people from the Sri Lanka Society and both Buddhist and non-Buddhist from the German communities who have supported the Buddhist house in numerous ways. I am grateful for the presence of the Mahasangha from numerous countries from the east and for the west for being part of the festivities and commemorative activities. I hope that you will keep in contact with the Buddhist House and support its activities. And I would like to thank all of you present today and those who are not present here today for helping make these commemorative activities success. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, I was asked by two people how they could get a copy of the community publication of the festival. Now we have arranged some copies outside. On your way, when you are leaving, you can donate whatever you like and take a copy with you. Yeah, so guys, go. Venerable Mahasangha, Excellencies, Mr. Veeraratna, Mr. Vimala, Professor Bauman, ladies and gentlemen. Yesterday we started the 100-year celebrations with the grand opening ceremony with the Mayor of Berlin, Reinickendorf, unveiling the first exhibit of the related historical tour and the photo exhibition. Both exhibitions are open for visitors during the next days and weeks. Today we honor the memory of the founder and architects of the Buddhistische Haus, Dr. Paul Dahlke and Mr. Asoka Veeraratna. On this occasion, the GDS published the Festschrift 100 Years Buddhistische Haus, written by Mr. Senaka Veeraratna mainly, and the government of Sri Lanka issued a postal stamp to commemorate this event. Leading newspapers in Berlin reported about the event or will do it in the next. All in all, the celebrations were a great success and gave necessary publicity as well as a reputation boost the institution. Now I take this opportunity to thank all stakeholders who made valuable contributions to make this success possible. Members of the Mahasangha, for coming from all parts of the world to attend this ceremony. Dr. Bhikkhuni Elizabeth Sujata, coming from the United States. All speakers for their invaluable insights. Prime Minister of Sri Lanka, Mr. Dinesh Gunawardena and his staff, as well as the Foreign Ministry for facilitating the commemorative activities in Sri Lanka. Her Excellency the Ambassador, Mr. Varuni Muthukumarana, and the Councillor, Mr. Sadhul Lianmalla from the Sri Lanka Embassy. President of the Sri Lanka Association, Mrs. Anusha Veeratunga, and members of the association. Mr. Winfried Liebrich for his preparatory work which made the exhibition possible. He has done a great job. We should appreciate it very much. Mr. Sharon Silva and Mr. Tiron Silva of Polytech Services, Mr. Senaka Veeraratna, Mr. Ananda Vimaladanam for coming all the way from Colombo to attend the centenary celebrations, Mr. Prabhat Veeratunga, Mrs. Kanti Manamperi, Mrs. Shirani Eva Basam, Mrs. Kumugu Kabuge, Mr. Yasas Pereira, Mr. Chandana Bamarusingha, Mr. Chanaka Barnakulu Surya, Mr. Dinuka Mendis, Mr. Arita Nihal Senandira and his team for doing the decoration work, Mr. Farhan, Mrs. Nilakadara, Mrs. Kamini, Anuruddha Nimali Gunawardena, Indika Gunasekara, Tilak Fernando, Mr. Ganidu Armadura, and last but not least, Mr. Tissa Veeraratna, for giving us all the freedom to organize yesterday's and today's events at our own gusto. Thank you. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for attending to the conference. Hope you found some helpful insights into the history of this Buddhistische Haus today. I hope very much that the events yesterday and today will boost your interest in our work and hope to see you more often in the temple. Ladies and gentlemen, I think you had some refreshments already, but we have some more left, so you can enjoy some refreshments again. And also network with people and have a small chat with one another, maybe about a Buddhist topic. So enjoy the remaining time. Once again, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Hello? Can you please come in front of the stage of the event? All who join the conference today, please come in front of the stage to make a group photo. Thank you.